This walking tour of the city of Dubrovnik and the Old Town was included at the conclusion of our backroad cycling tour of Croatia. In front of you is the Pila Gate, the main entrance into the Old Town. It might look like a single gateway, but it's actually two, a clever double gate system that dates back hundreds of years. The outer gate was built in 1537 during the Renaissance. In medieval times, the wooden drawbridge connected the city to the mainland. Each night, the drawbridge was raised and the gates were locked, sealing Dubrovnik off from the outside world. Above the arch, you'll see a statue of Saint Blaise, a patron saint of Dubrovnik, holding a model of the city in his hands. You'll see him watching over the city from many corners as we explore. Between the outer and inner gates was a secure courtyard, a kind of medieval checkpoint. Guards stationed here could control who entered or left the city. For centuries, this area was a symbol of safety and order in the powerful Republic of Ragusa, as Dubrovnik was once known. These double gates have witnessed earthquakes, sieges, and centuries of history, yet they still stand as proud guardians of Dubrovnik's past. Today, they welcome travelers from around the world to experience what generations before could only imagine. As you walk through these gates, take a moment to picture what it would be like when they closed at sunset, when the city stood silent and secure, its people safe behind these timeless walls.
You see that right map over there? We cannot come closer now because of the other groups, of course, but also from here you can see black dots over there. Every black dot is a bomb that has fallen down to the old town in this recent war. Red squares were completely burned palaces at the time. So this map in fact shows you that the next morning to friendly, independent, democratic countries. They were normal people over there. Yugoslavia, it was a federation, communist country, federation of the six nations, six countries. But there was a problem because the president of Serbia at the time was Slobodan Milosevic, and he had an idea about the Great Serbia. That is basically why we had war here. He wanted to conquer all the other nations in Yugoslavia, and that was a problem, of course. The war in Dubrovnik area started in October 1991. I was 8 years old at the time, and as Dubrovnik was completely surrounded in less than a month, for 9 months without water, without electricity, under the medieval siege, I would say. Of course, that my parents sent me to Zagreb, capital of Croatia, with my brother and grandmother. They stayed in town. Of course, when everything started here, people were so naive, People were so naive because although the war has already started in the eastern part of Croatia, no one expected that they will come here too, because this is Dubrovnik. No one attacks Dubrovnik. No reason for that. No, Dubrovnik is a massive heritage site from the 1979. The whole town is one big cultural monument. They have come, they have attacked, and you can see by yourself over there what they have done. Fast speedboats bringing more people, more weapons to town. And also that is the day, that everything has changed in the eyes of the world too. Because of course that world didn't have a clue about Croatia, Serbia, Yugoslavia, what was happening here. It's normal. But the world, people were knowing about Dubrovnik. And then when the images of destruction of Dubrovnik went into the world realized that in fact something really bad happened here, started to act first slowly, logistically, later with greater help of course, and this Dubrovnik siege was finally breached in June 92, and Dubrovnik territory was connected to the rest of Croatian territory and the rest of Croatia.
Just inside the second gate and at the western end of Zastradan stands this massive circular fountain, a welcoming centerpiece that has greeted visitors and locals for nearly 6 centuries. Onofriro's fountain was built between 1438 and 1444 and designed by a skilled architect and engineer from Naples, Italy, to bring fresh, clean water to the walled city from a natural spring about 12 kilometers away. Before this fountain, Dubrovnik's residents relied mainly on cisterns and rainwater collection. Onofriro's aqueduct system was a technological breakthrough, a major step in improving sanitation and quality of life in the medieval city. At the time of its construction, this was one of the most advanced hydraulic systems in Europe.
Hey, you can do it.
Fish,
You're
fish,
still
fish,
searching for
fish.
your love. I can see that. So this is one urban legend, new thing completely. So if you succeed to climb this stone here while you are standing here, you have to take off your shirt, put it back again. When you come down, the next person that you see is going to be the love of your life. So that's why people are doing it every day, many times to see. It's a bit darker with a heart around. People are grabbing their nails, trying to stay there. It's not easy. It's even more and more slippery with every attempt. So,
Pidge, 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 Pidge. Go and tell your boyfriend.
no, definitely not easy. Come on, if everyone would succeed, there will be too much love in the air. So that wouldn't be a good thing too. So.
Someone else already get out.
Anyone else want to try? And inside the Franciscan monastery, there is also a Franciscan cloister that survived the earthquake. So it is one of the rare examples of the Renaissance and Gothic architecture. And this monastery is also a home of the oldest pharmacy in Europe that has never stopped working from the day when it was established. Established in 1317. So we have a pharmacy that works for more than 700 years here in Dubrovnik. Of course, that there is a modern one here today, but there is also pharmacy museum. If you have time to visit this Franciscan museum by yourself, you can visit this museum in less than 30 minutes, and definitely one of the most amazing places inside of the walls.
Just steps off the main street in Old Town, you'll find something truly extraordinary. One of the oldest pharmacies in Europe still in operation today. This is the Franciscan Monastery Pharmacy, founded all the way back in 1317. For more than 700 years, Franciscan monks have prepared medicines here, originally to care for the sick within the monastery, and later for the people of Dubrovnik. Inside, you can still see ancient jars, handwritten records, and tools once used to make remedies by hand. And it isn't just a museum. The pharmacy still sells herbal creams, soaps, and ointments, many based on centuries-old recipes. It has survived earthquakes, plagues, and wars, making it a true living link to medieval medicine and one of Dubrovnik's most fascinating hidden gems.
And as I said, this mid part of Dubrovnik was completely destroyed in earthquake. This street was rebuilt after it. And after the earthquake, of course, they didn't have time for the nice architecture. They have to survive. They have built 2 rows, completely the same palaces, same height, same frontal appearance. Everything is the same. No decorations. Is there anything missing here on the main street? Maybe it could be here, but it is not here. Looking architecturally, of course. A single balcony is here. Because when the earthquake hit and all the terraces, porches collapsed down, so many people were killed because of that. So Dubrovnik Republic, they forbid any new balconies in Dubrovnik after 1667. In the back street, you will notice some balconies, but those ones are either the ones that have survived the earthquake, either the ones that have been built after 1808 while the French and Austrians were here in Dubrovnik.
Are these occupied, the upper floors? We noticed last night all the shutters were closed.
Yes, of course. I mean, all this is a residential area,
Okay.
So I cannot tell you is it in private ownership, someone is living here particularly, or it is an Airbnb or something like
Okay.
that. But the whole of the town is a residential area. There are just some municipal palaces, of course, where the city councilors are, theater and so on. But the rest of the town is a residential
Yeah.
area. Enter here to the left. Please follow me. We will move from the main street.
Just beyond Dubrovnik's ancient stone walls, beneath the quiet blue of the Adriatic Sea, lies a hidden treasure, red coral. For centuries, this rare coral has been gathered from deep waters and shaped into symbols of beauty, faith, and tradition, linking the sea directly to the history of the Old Town. During our tour, we were treated to a presentation to learn more about red coral. We haven't included the full talk here, but if you're interested in learning more about it, we do have a separate video with the entire 7 to 8 minute presentation.
was built on a solid rock, and the mid part was built on a sand. So when the earthquake hit, of course, then the mid part and sand collapsed easier than this northern part that was built on a solid rock. At the moment, inside of the walls of Dubrovnik, approximately 1,100 people are still living, although there are enough properties for approximately 4,000 people. This difference is because properties are extremely expensive inside. You cannot blame people that are selling it. 1 square meter inside of the walls is approximately 12,000 euros, depending on the location, equipment. So, as I said, you cannot blame people that are selling for that kind of money. You can buy 2, sometimes 3 properties in the suburbs and have much more comfortable life than here inside of the old town. And it's also kind of prestige for a billionaires to have property here, like Monaco, like Hawaii. And that's even a bigger problem by Airbnbs. At least people are coming all year long, everyone is working. They are here maybe 5-10 days per year. The rest of the year, that property is completely empty. So, and if everyone sells, Dubrovnik is in a problem because the soul of every town are people that are still living inside. Not the monuments, not the palaces, churches, but people. Without people, Dubrovnik will become just one ordinary open-air museum like you have everywhere around the world. We are so proud that Dubrovnik because it is still living town. Not enough parking spots for everybody. That's why we are all driving motorbikes here in Dubrovnik. The only solution for the parking is a big underground garages and homes are still not even in the mid-range plans. That's 3 Airbnbs here. We are living on top. This is my partner's family home. But in certain age, all these things become problems. Stairs are everywhere, smells from the restaurant, noise from the bars. There is no delivery to your door. Your pizza is not a problem. Refrigerator, furniture is a problem. Buy your refrigerator, they will deliver it outside of the walls. Then from over there, I have to find my way to bring that refrigerator on top over there. I call my friends for a beer and don't mention the refrigerator, of course. That's the only way. Inside of the old town, we still have 1 primary school and 2 high schools. Classical gymnasium and art school of Dubrovnik are inside of the walls. These schools are not just for the children from the city walls, but also from the children outside. But it's important for us, that at least we pretend that we have a normal life here. No. In 70s, 80s, it was completely different. It's much more romantic, For everything that you need, people were coming inside of the old town to buy things they couldn't buy anywhere else. The old town was center of the whole Dubrovnik. Today, unfortunately, the old town is, we will stop here for a moment, the old town is just one big souvenir shop, one big restaurant. And then anything that I need for my regular life, I have to go outside to buy. Just the ordinary groceries. We have 2 supermarkets here, but of course they're much more expensive than the big supermarkets in the suburbs. So I'm going over there, but then you have to carry everything in your hands. And then ground station is just 300 meters away. You will see it the moment you are outside. And you can also remember this street in a way. This is the 4th street from the beginning of the main street. So the 4th. But okay, we are here because this street was the street of the Jewish community here in Dubrovnik. Maybe it's strange for you that the medieval Catholic town, there was a Jewish community inside. But Dubrovnik is a home of the 2nd oldest, as I said, cats are everywhere, not bother at all that we are here. Dubrovnik is the home of the 2nd oldest Sephardic synagogue in the whole Europe. The oldest one is in Amsterdam, 2nd oldest is here. Jewish community was invited to come after Spanish and Portuguese Inquisition. They have to run from over there at the end of the 15th century. And then some of them were invited to come here. People from Dubrovnik, they were always very pragmatic. And if they could have any benefit from you, well, anyone could come and live here. So, and Jewish people, they were always good doctors, teachers, physicians. They were invited to come. They were working here, living here, and paying the tax to the Dubrovnik Republic. And that's how they were having benefit from them. And If you are interested in the matter, just down before those tables down there on the right side, there is a synagogue museum. If you are interested in the matter, definitely the place that I recommend for visiting. We are going to the back, main street. Okay, so we have reached the main street again, and this area here, this is Luja Square, the main square of Dubrovnik, place that everything is happening. In Dubrovnik, especially in summertime, it is surrounded by Saint Blaise Church, Bell Tower, and Sponza Palace here at the corner. Saint Blaise Church is definitely the most important church for us here in Dubrovnik because Saint Blaise is the savior and the patron of Dubrovnik. And you will see him everywhere around the town. Maybe you can notice him when we're approaching the town, above the city gates, at the entrance of the fortress. He was there too. Every important institution, Saint Blaise has to be there. He's that man on top of the church. You will always see him holding something in his hands. He's holding Dubrovnik, protecting Dubrovnik from any evil that could come. His day is 3rd of February. On that day, we have a big Catholic procession around the town. And also, he's a protector of our throats. So on that day, we have tradition here in Dubrovnik. Everyone is going into the church. The priest puts 2 candles below your throat, gives you a blessing, and then your throat is protected for the next year. I'm a tour guide. I yell a lot. I'm going every year, and it's working for now, I have to say. On my right, Sponza Palace. You can see the difference between the Sponza and all the other palaces on the main street. The porch, the terrace, windows over there, decorations, much more Venetian Italian than the rest of the main street. It's like Sponza is the only palace that survived the earthquake on the main street. In 3 minutes, they're always ringing 10, 10:03, 11, 11:03, just to remind you that you do know what time is here. Sometimes when I wake up during the night, I don't even grab a cell phone to check the time. Just waiting to hear how many times they will ring. 3 times, perfect. I can still sleep for a while. This way. It was the first institution they can rebuild in Dubrovnik after the earthquake. When the earthquake hit, the Pope's librarian was from Dubrovnik. His name was Stjepan Radic, and he was one of the Pope's most appreciated advisors at the time. So, of course, that after earthquake, he advised the Pope to protect Dubrovnik, to help Dubrovnik, send the gold to town. As a sign of gratitude, they decided to build cathedral first. Just inside of the old town, there are more than 50 Catholic churches, chapels, monasteries. That also shows you the good relations with the Catholic Church. The Pope was always sending the money to town. And well, the easiest way to say thank you was to build a new church, of course. All of these big churches has cathedrals, Saint Blaise, Saint Ignatius, monasteries. I just have to ask, of course, if there is a mass in progress, please respect the mass, don't take photos while the mass is in. It was the rector's palace. Dubrovnik was a aristocratic republic, so that means only noble men could rule here in Dubrovnik. Rector was the head of the state, something like a duke in Venice, like a prime minister today. There was a small council, executive body that was helping him in running the state, and the big senate body that was electing councillors and the rector. Completely the same as the captain of the St. Lawrence, rector was always elected only for 1 month, never longer. Because, as I said, they were afraid of the tyranny in the hands of one man. They were afraid of that stealing, corruption. And you were elected for 1 month, of course, you don't have time for that. And aristocracy, they were the republics. You didn't come to this position with new ideas, how you will change everything. No, everyone knew what has to be done. It's more like the role of prestige, and you were there to make decisions with small councillors, of course, but everyone knew what has to be done. You were there just to continue the job of the previous rector. The new one, the future one, will continue your job. And it's very interesting that his office was on the first floor, but ground floor, between other purposes, was also a prison, just to remind him that very easily from the first floor he can end up down there if he do anything wrong to the Republic. So present politicians will have the same reminders and will all live much better lives.
Talking about the shrapnel holes in the wall here.
So now we are behind the cathedral, just 50 meters away from the main street, and you can already see and feel how much calmer it's here, quieter than over there. If you want to explore the town, just moving southern from the main street, there are small streets with lots of stairs, of course. This is the last point to our tour. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you learn a few things about history, but also about present way of living here. And now at the end, do you have any questions?
If you enjoyed this video, check out some of the other videos on our Croatia playlist. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Thanks for watching. Now get out and explore the world.